Asante Sana Warden. And as we say here in Harambe, Tuwende. That means let's go. Well, Jumbo, everyone. My name is Janie. I'm going to be your safari driver today as we head on into the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. We are going to see all kinds of amazing animals out in the reserve today. Before we get started, I do have just one safety reminder for you. I do have to ask that we all stay fully seated during our safari, even when the truck is not moving, and that does include children and babies as well. So parents, you are more than welcome to hold your children in your laps if you want, just as long as you don't stand them up on the seat next to you or hold them up in the air. You are not Rafiki, and this is not the Lion King. Now with that being said, it's time to head on into the reserve. If you look above your heads, there is a safari spotting guide. It's really good, I made it myself. That's gonna help you identify some of the animals that we're gonna see today. We won't see every single one of those animals. We are going to do our best to see as many as we can. Now, if you look over on the right-hand side, I already do see an okapi. It's a little bit difficult to see its head sticking out from behind that bush to the far left on the right-hand side. There's also a greater kudu over on the left. Now, that greater kudu is a female. You can tell because she doesn't have any horns. The okapi does have striped hind legs. Because of those stripes, many people think that this is a relative of a zebra. It's actually not. The okapi is the only relative of a giraffe. It eats the same way that a giraffe does, by using its long tongue and not by grazing. And the okapi's tongue is so long, it can actually lick its own eyeball. So we are in the Little Aturi Forest. Many of our forest-dwelling animals do tend to be really shy, and they are experts when it comes to camouflaging themselves. You have to look a little bit harder for them. Let's see if there's any over here. All right, I do see a black rhino over on the left-hand side. There's actually two. So if you kind of trace your eye along this wall, you'll see there's one laying down, it's facing us. And then there's one that's facing away from us as well, a little bit closer. I'm gonna pull up to this one. Sadly, because of poaching, there are only about 5,000 black rhinos left in the entire world. They are poached for their horns. Some cultures believe their horns can be used for medicinal purposes, but their horns are actually made out of the same material that is found in our fingernails. It is called keratin. Over on the left-hand side, up in those trees, I do see some bongos. Bongos are known as the ghost of the forest because they are usually really difficult to find. Both the males and the females have horns. Those horns are used for cutting through the bushes and the trees. It makes it easier for the bongos to walk through the woods. Next, we're gonna go see the Safi River. The Safi River is home to some of our more recognizable animals. Many of these animals are among the largest and the most dangerous animals in Africa. Now, sometimes people can be surprised to learn that the Nile hippopotamus is one of Africa's deadliest animals. It's not carnivorous, but it is very territorial. So if anyone goes near the hippo's home, they stomp all over them. I do see a few of those hippos over on the right-hand side. Looks like there's some coming up on the left as well. Hippos do spend the majority of their day underwater. They can hold their breath for 8 minutes at a time, and they can even sleep underwater. A group of hippos is called a bloat. They communicate with each other by using what's called a wheeze honk. So some of them will wheeze and some of them will honk, and it basically works like a roll call for them. The most dominant hippo will go first, followed by all of the other ones. And they all have their own special way of wheeze honking, just like how us humans have our own special way of talking with one another. Over on the left-hand side as well, I do see some pink-backed pelicans. They get their light pink color during mating season. The males and the females will both incubate their eggs for 30 days. And they're one of only a few species of birds that are cooperative hunters, which means that they work together and hunt in a group. All right, friends, we are about to cross over one of the most dangerous parts of our safari, Crocodile Bridge. Just a reminder to please stay seated as we cross over the bridge. The Nile crocodiles are on your left.
Janie's camera died. We're filming on my phone now.
The Nile crocodile is one of the most feared animals in Africa for a reason. It will snap its powerful jaw and crush the bones of some pretty big animals, including antelopes, zebras, and even baby hippos. The Nile crocodile can also eat half its body weight in one sitting, and it can sometimes grow to be as long as a giraffe is tall. Well, we are almost out of the woods now, folks. In fact, our entire environment is about to look pretty different. And speaking of difference, on the right-hand side we have the baobab tree. It is also known as an upside-down tree. It looks like it has its roots up in the air. It goes leafless 9 months out of the year to conserve water. All of that water is stored inside of its gigantic trunk, which is why it's also known as the tree of life. We are coming up on one of my all-time favorite views. You can see the entire savanna from up on this hill. The African savanna is home to many of our hoofstock animals. These animals tend to stick together in large groups. That's why there really is safety in numbers here in Africa. If you look over on the right-hand side, I do see an Ankole cattle. There's also some white-bearded wildebeest back there in the way back, and also some springbok. Now, the horns in that Ankole cattle are huge. They can be 6 feet long. It looks like they would be really heavy, but they actually are fairly light due to their hollow honeycomb design. Those little springbok over there can jump 6 feet up into the air, and they can run 55 miles per hour, which puts them in the top 10 fastest land animals on Earth. Very impressive for their size. I do see a small den over on the left. Looks like there's some African wild dogs on the left-hand side. They are also known as the painted dogs because of their bright colors. Now, they might look cute, but they're not like your dogs at home. They're one of the most vicious and successful hunters in Africa. They have an 80% success rate when they hunt, which is even higher than lions. Lions are only successful about 1 in every 15 hunts. They do work together and hunt in a pack. They have 1 alpha male and 1 alpha female in the pack, and those are the only ones in the entire pack who mate. We are passing by a few termite mounds on either side. Some of our larger animals like to use the termite mounds as scratching posts, and smaller animals use them as mounds to stand on to look for their predators. They are actually made out of mud, termite spit, and dung. Ew. Yup.
Don't put that in.
Over on the right-hand side, I do see some more of those white-bearded wildebeests. They're way back there in that little corner. They are also known as the gnu, spelled G-N-U, because of the sound that they make. So cows say moo, and wildebeests say gnu. They have one of the largest herds with one of the largest migrations of 1.2 to 1.5 million wildebeests every single year. When the babies are born, they have just 15 minutes to be standing up and walking, or else they will actually be left behind by the herd. You can see a great view of those springbok again over on that right-hand side. Sometimes the springbok will run and jump at the same time. It is called pronking. Oh, it looks like I do see a giraffe coming up. There's a few giraffes over there. Now, these are Maasai giraffes. You can tell because they have that sort of jagged looking pattern. Each pattern on a Maasai giraffe is unique, kind of like a human's fingerprints. It helps them to tell each other apart. Giraffes are the tallest land animals. They can grow between 18 and 20 feet tall, and when the babies are born, they are already 6 feet tall. Now, speaking of baby giraffes, I do see a baby giraffe over on the right-hand side. If you look sort of by those palm trees, there's the mom over there and then the babies next door. Baby giraffes can also be up and standing within just an hour of being born. And today is a really special day because today is actually that baby giraffe's first day out on the savanna, so really exciting. Giraffes do spend most of their day eating. They eat for about 20 hours a day, and they sleep for just 30 minutes a day. They also never sleep lying completely down. That's because it doesn't take any muscles for them to keep their necks up in the air, but it does take muscles for them to lower their necks. Giraffes' tongues can be 18 inches long and they're kind of a dark purplish blackish color. The reason why they are that dark color is because giraffes spend so much time with their tongues outside of their mouths. If they were any lighter, they would get severely sunburned on their tongues. A group of giraffes is called a tower, so I do think we passed by a whole tower back there. When they get scared, we like to call it a tower of terror. Over on the left-hand side, I do see a mandrill monkey. It's kind of back by that tree behind those rocks. It's a little bit difficult to see. The mandrill is the largest species of monkey. The males can grow to be 100 pounds, and the females are much smaller. They weigh only 30 pounds. Both the males and the females have brightly colored faces, but only the males have the brightly colored rear ends. There you go, you can see him now sort of in the back over there. If you look over on the right-hand side, I do see an African elephant. You can tell that this is an African elephant because we're in Africa, but you can also tell by looking at the size of his ears. African elephants' ears are much larger than Asian elephants' ears. They are almost shaped like Africa. This is probably a male elephant. Once male elephants reach adolescence, they leave the herd and go off on their own, but sometimes they will form bachelor groups. Uh-oh. Looks like the warden left a sign for me. Now, I don't know if any of you guys can speak Swahili, but I do, so I'll translate the sign for you. This sign says, Road closed, which roughly translates to not accessible, so we're going to have to take a little bit of a detour. It's actually been a few years since I've been down this detour road. I just hope we don't get too lost. Oh no. Oh, I completely forgot about this old bridge. I hate going over this bridge. It is way too old and rickety, and I've heard all these stories of people falling off of it. Well, I guess we have to go for it. Now's a good time to say goodbye to your loved ones, just in case. Whoa! Lean to the right! Okay, good leaving, everyone. Nice work. Wow, that was terrifying. All right, raise your hand if you fell off. All right, just a few of you. I'll take it. We are passing by some red clay pits on either side. Elephants use the red clay for nutrients that they don't normally find in their diet. I do see some tusk marks over on the right, and those look like footprints on the left. These are all really strong indications that elephants are nearby. Now, sadly, elephants have been disappearing in the wild recently due to poaching and due to environmental loss. That is why it's so important to take good care of our environments and to not purchase any ivory products. Recycling our old cell phones is another way to take care of the elephant's environment, so these beautiful animals will be around for generations to come. There is a small herd of elephants over on the left. Elephants do have a matriarchal society. The oldest female is in charge of passing down all of her wisdom to the rest of the herd. Her role is especially important because elephants are migratory. Without the matriarch, they really wouldn't know which way to go. I also do see a baby elephant over on the left-hand side. Now that baby elephant sure is cute, but she did not get here easily. Elephants are pregnant for 2 years before they give birth. Elephants have a few different ways of keeping cool on a hot day. They use their large ears, kind of like fans. They will also use their trunks to spray dirt and sand onto their backs. They have really sensitive skin, and elephants actually can get sunburned. So the dirt and the sand is kind of like a natural sunscreen for them. are passing by Flamingo Island on the left. These are all greater flamingos. They get their light pink color from the food that they eat, called brine shrimp. When they're born, they're actually gray, and they would stay gray if they didn't eat the shrimp. The greater flamingo is the largest species of flamingo, and it has the lightest pink color. And a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance. Over on the right-hand side, those are white rhinos. Now those white rhinos are a bit larger than the black rhino that we saw earlier. The black rhino weighs about 3,000 pounds, and the white rhino can weigh between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds. Rhinos can charge at speeds of 35 miles per hour, but they have really poor eyesight. So that might be why a group of rhinos is called a crash. Over on the left-hand side, if you look way on top of that hill, kind of in the shadows, you might be able to spot a cheetah. The cheetah is the fastest land animal. They run 70 miles per hour, and they get up to those speeds in just 3 seconds. They are daytime hunters. They have exceptional eyesight, and they're the only big cats that don't have retractable claws. And if you look very closely at a cheetah's face, you might see those black teardrop markings under their eyes. Those are actually used to reflect the sun. So it's kind of like how a football player puts the black markings under their eyes. Cheetahs have the same kind of thing going on. Up ahead is the Kopi Rock Formation. This is a favorite hangout spot of some of our larger predators. Sometimes you can see lions over here on these rocks, but lions actually hunt at dawn and dusk, and they spend about 16 hours a day sleeping and resting. So they might be sleeping right now, but we'll still keep our eyes peeled for them. There are a few more white rhinos and some zebras, and I do see a water buck back there as well, all over on that right-hand side. Zebras are actually black with white stripes and not white with black stripes. You can tell by looking at their noses. They have a very powerful kick, and their hind legs can even break the jaw of a lion. Now, if you guys do want to see lions, I definitely recommend coming back later tonight. We do have nighttime safaris, and if you come at around sunset, and later in the evening, you have a really good chance to see those lions up and active.
Now they are the only burrowing animals, so they'll create their burrows and have to snuggle in backwards. Because if they went in forwards, you see those tusks, well they are kind of shaped like a hook, so they can get stuck inside and not be able to get out. So you would just see their butts trying to get out. You're a queen. But they are really
Over on the right-hand side, I do see some, or on the left-hand side, there's our warthogs. Warthogs are the largest burrowing mammals, but sometimes they will actually borrow burrows from other animals. They love to spend their time wallowing in the mud to keep cool and to keep the bugs off. And they're surprisingly fast. Warthogs run 35 miles per hour, which I think is very impressive considering their tiny little legs. You can see those white rhinos again. Over on the right, there's also a few ostrich eggs over on the right-hand side. Ostrich eggs are really large. They weigh 3 pounds, and a grown man can stand on one of them without breaking it. And you do see some more zebras, and an ostrich and a water buck. Most people know that ostriches are flightless birds. They use their large wings to change directions while they run, and they can run 40 miles per hour. Now, water bucks are known for their smelly, greasy coats that waterproof them and help them to find each other. Those white rhinos that we saw back there are actually named not for their color, but for their wide mouth. So there was a mistranslation between the Afrikaans word for wide and the Dutch word wijd and the English word white, which is why we call those guys white rhinos, even though they're not really white. The real way to tell the difference between a black rhino and a white rhino is by looking at the size and the shape of their mouths. So black rhinos have more of a smaller, triangular shaped mouth, and the white rhinos have a wider, more rectangular shaped mouth. Over on the right-hand side, I do see some yellow-billed storks. These are actually carnivorous birds. They will eat just about anything, including frogs, snakes, and even other birds. And if you look way in the back there, sort of by that path, there is a scimitar horned oryx. It's a little bit difficult to see. It's actually really well equipped for a desert environment. He will not sweat until his body reaches 115 degrees. He does that to conserve water. Now we are at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. The name Harambe is a Swahili word that means come together. And there are so many different ways that we can come together to protect all of the animals that we've seen today. We can start by taking care of our environments. Recycling is so important. We can also reuse bags instead of getting plastic ones every time we go to the grocery store. We can turn off the electricity in our homes when we're not using it, and we can try not to waste water. All of these little things add up to big conservation. And if we all come together, we can protect the animals we've seen today, and so many more. If you all are looking for some more fun ways to see animals, I do recommend checking out Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. This is a walking trail. You can see gorillas, monkeys, zebras, meerkats, and hippos. And if I have any wilderness explorers on my truck, the name of this truck is Simba 1. Once again, Simba 1 is the name of my truck for the Wilderness Explorers. Now I'm going to let you guys go in just a moment, and when I do, if anyone has any questions for me about any of the animals, please feel free to come up and ask. My window is literally always open. And of course, you are all more than welcome to come back and see us anytime here at Kilimanjaro Safaris. No two safari is exactly the same. The animals definitely make sure of it. Also, don't forget about Rivers of Light tonight. You do not want to miss that show. And once again, my name is Janie. Here at Harambe, we do not like to say goodbye, because it is much too sad. Instead, we like to say Kwaherini, which means go well. So I hope that all of you will go well today, and go wild, and have a great rest of your day here at Animal Kingdom, and wherever your adventures take you.
Welcome back, watch your right hand side, and please watch your step down.
Kwaherini everyone, have a great time out there.